Oh, Mr. Oh, you're not Fred Hartwell. I got to fix
I'm
that.
not.
It's Michal Hofkin, right?
Correct.
There we go. Everybody got to see that. So I got your name right. I've got the things right. All right. So Michal Hofkin, thank you for joining us. We will be there it is, a discussion with the presenter. So Ask the Inspector is going to be October 2nd at the Eastern Section meeting. For everybody who's watching, I've got the links down below, and we have the man, Michal Hofkin, the presenter for this session on Ask the Inspector. Michal, thank you for joining me on this, and I know you're as excited as I am about the Eastern Section meeting as you always are. Would you want to just give some of your background and talk a little bit about what you're going to be talking about during your session?
Certainly. So I'm a former electrical contractor, and I'm currently an active electrical inspector for a third-party agency, Middle Department Inspections in Pennsylvania. I am the regional manager for the firm. Very active in the IAI. I'm the past president of my local chapter. I'm past president of the Eastern Section. I'm the current secretary of the Benjamin Franklin chapter. And
Jeez.
I also have the privilege of serving as the international chairman of the board for the International Board of Directors for the IAI. So thanks to
Wow.
all the mentoring that I've received over the years and the help and encouragement, especially from my Eastern Section friends, I have risen to a position of prominence within the organization, and I'm humbled and happy to be here.
Awesome. And we're glad you're at the driver's seat. That's a good thing.
That's not a good thing, but we'll live with it.
I was trying to be nice. Geez, Michal. So what about this Ask the Inspector? What's going to happen?
So I've been an electrical instructor for 30 years.
Wow.
I literally graduated my apprenticeship program and was asked to return the following year as an instructor. So a big break in my career happened at that point, and I caught the bug. I
Yeah.
caught the code bug and I caught the teacher bug. And this is a program that I put together probably 2 years ago originally. It's been updated and tweaked and what have you, but I'm constantly getting requests from people who want instruction. Can you do something on kind of common violations or common misconceptions, or people think it says this, but if you read it carefully, it doesn't actually say that. So I decided to put together this presentation. I actually hired a graphic artist for a couple of the slides to make sure that we had a professional presentation to it, not just me drawing lines on a Word document.
Awesome.
And obviously, I've thrown in some of the IAI slides that are important from the analysis of changes. And with any kind of luck, we'll have a good time, and you'll pick up something that you didn't know was in the code book, and at the very least, you'll have a refresher if you didn't know it was there.
Perfect. Well, that sounds like it's going to be fun.
It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And what's kind of cool is we'll be able to those who are going to watch you will be able to chat, ask you questions, or make statements or comments. You know what I've learned, Michal, in doing some of my programs from a YouTube perspective, and I know you've probably seen this as well. The chat box usually has a lot of really good dialogue because we'll have a lot of smart people watching and probably a lot of other inspectors that can share their own experiences in the chat, and we can all learn together.
I'm counting on the entire audience being smarter than me, so this should be a lot of fun. The feedback from the crowd is it's what I thrive on. Live instruction is really where I'm most comfortable. I want to be in the room with you,
Yeah.
laughing, joking. Let's take this thing and untwist it and pull it apart and see what it actually means, and how do we comply, because the contractors lose money when they don't comply because they have to go back and redo things, and the
Right.
inspector has to go back out to the site very often to do a reinspection. There's not a big win there when an inspection doesn't pass.
Yeah.
So if everybody has good information and understands the why behind the code, and what the words actually say instead of what you thought they said or what you were mistakenly told they said, because let's face it, a lot of us, we learn something in the code, we accept it, and then we don't revisit it. We just kind of live with
Yeah.
that as gospel truth.
Yeah, that I hear that, and it's like it's just handed down through the years, right? And you
It's
just
exactly what
blindly
it is.
follow it.
It's a tradition of mistakes, and I want to tell you, I'll be the first one to admit that I'm as guilty as anybody else. I am certainly not preaching smarter than the room here.
Right.
I continue to attend training constantly because of that very reason, because I picked something up 15 years ago.
Yeah.
It was wrong then, it's wrong now, but in my mind, I'm doing it the right way. And so when I meet a fella who, is more expert in that particular topic, or even that particular sentence in the code,
Hmm.
I have learned something. I've become a better professional.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's awesome. So we got Steve Froming out on the YouTube site, and we got Joe Bellantoni saying, "You're looking good, Michael."
Well, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Tell
Awesome.
them they're very good liars.
And that was, and I don't know if you know Joe Bellantoni from the Granite State chapter.
Yep.
So, yeah, so it should be a good. So we got a good, great lineup. I talked to Fred Hartwell today, so we went live this afternoon, and Fred told his little story on what he was going to be talking about. I've already hit. I think I got Jack Lyons tonight. If he's going to be there, I think he should be. So I'm going to be streaming live with him tonight, talking about his program. We've got Jeff Simpson, which I got to schedule Jeff Simpson too to do a live session with him so that we can test out his. Jeff's usually usually got some wild PowerPoints as well. And then who else did I hit? Joe Andre and Dr. Dabrowski, Paul Dabrowski. So, and they're
Okay.
going to be
So
doing grounding.
as,
So,
as I hear that lineup of people, I really appreciate you going down to the basement and pulling me into this thing too. I appreciate it. A lot of guys there that are smarter than me for sure.
well, you know what I'm saying. Everybody brings a lot to the table, and I feel the same way that you do. Sometimes I look and go, man, when you're in the room with a lot of these individuals, and then I throw you in there too. You think, I don't know half. You probably have forgotten more than I know on a lot of things, and you just don't realize it, as you start to talk to people. There is so much that we can learn from each other. It's just
There
amazing.
absolutely is.
Absolutely. So unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know. Um, we're not able to get together, right? In a live. I love to. There's nothing that replaces talking to people, mingling out by the coffee pots, and things like that. I know next year we're going to have an Eastern section. It's going to be great, but I personally like the fact that we are going to reach. We're going to be global, right? It doesn't matter. You don't have to be just in the Eastern section to come to the online version of the Eastern section.
That's correct. I'm glad to see that the Eastern section is at least offering some training during that time period, so that the fellows who count on the section meeting to pick up their CEUs and things of that
Yeah.
nature will be able to get them. We have contractors and inspectors both who have license renewal issues. So, the fact that we're providing this information, obviously it's just good to have as information as an electrical professional. But if you're able also to pick up your continuing education certificate, certainly that'll help you with your personal career, because so we know that so many of the states require some form of continuing education to make sure that you can keep your licensing active. I will miss the network. The
Yeah.
2020 is the year where the networking died.
Yeah.
It's the truth. There's more deals made on the golf course and at the bar than there ever is in a conference room.
You got
And
that right.
you know,
Yeah, I
so
call that coffee pot agreements.
that's the truth. It's you sketch something out on a bar napkin, and the next thing you know, $1 million deal gets signed. And
Yeah. Yeah.
that's good for the industry. It's good for us, and I can tell you personally that my entire career has been built on my network at IAI.
Yeah.
I got involved 24 years ago with this association, and first I got active with the chapter, then I got active with the section, and then with the international. My network has just grown exponentially.
Yeah. Yeah. And with that comes opportunities, knowledge. There's so much to be said. And what's fun, what's great is Felix Sandoval is a gentleman that I know over the online. I met him through my YouTube channels and whatnot. He's got a lot of great questions. Great person. And he's just become an IAEI member. He signed up for the Western section. He's going to sign up for the Eastern section, and he's just loving the online experience, which he would never have been to an Eastern section meeting before, but he will be, and he's in Costa Rica. Okay.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, so we're going to be out there and getting more and more people engaged, and that's just raising the awareness of who the IAEI is. And that means a lot because I think there are a lot of people, myself included. I didn't get engaged with the IAEI until I became associated with a product line that was very code specific, and I got engaged with the National Electrical Code, and I found out about these meetings years ago, back in early 2000s or late 90s, and I went to my first section meeting, and I was just like floored on how much I didn't know. I'm watching these guys like yourselves being up on stage answering code questions, and I've got my code book, and I thought I knew the answer, and you're like, holy cow, I didn't realize how much I didn't know about the National Electrical Code.
So I have the privilege of writing the questions for the Leo Martin
Ah,
Memorial Code Breakfasts that we have, along with my colleague Richard Van Wert. And you want to talk about having big shoes to fill, right?
oh yeah,
I'll never forget the first time I got the gumption up to step up to that microphone, and I was dead wrong. And I got back to the table, and the guys at my table who were my mentors went, "Nope, you didn't get that one, Hofkin." The important thing was not to be right or wrong. The important
yep,
thing was to have the discussion. Okay. Nobody came back to the table. When I got back to that table, I wasn't berated. They just simply told me that, nope, that's not what it says. I thought that's what it said,
yep,
as to get to our earlier point, but that's not what it said.
yeah,
The English language is very tricky, and you've got to be very careful when you're parsing the words that are in there. What do they actually say? In what order are they presented? Where is the comma? These things all
yes,
matter.
oh
And
yeah.
we already know the code book is written in Greek, so
Yep. And you know the other thing that used to get me was I would look at a code section, and I would tell somebody, look, it says right there in black and white, it's very clear, you have to do this. And they'll say, and they would look at it and go, yeah, you're right, it does say I have to do that, but what section are you in? And I'd go and look, well, it says right here, it says this protection. I say, yeah, what part of the code? Oh, that's medium voltage. And you just follow your way up into the hierarchy of the sections to parts to chapters, and then you're like, oh, and that only applies in medium voltage, doesn't apply in the 600 volts, and you're like, ah, man. So there's so much to it, and I'm looking forward to your asking. I've sat through your presentation in the past, and I really enjoy it. So, and I always, no matter how many times I see you talk, and you know it, your presentations change, your contents change, your background, and some of the stories that we tell, and examples that we give will always change. So I appreciate
variety is
that.
the spice of life. To
Amen.
your point about the code book, it's 900 plus pages, and they're kind enough to rewrite it for us every 3 years. So
Yeah.
just when you think you've got it,
Right. You know what I really love is here we are. Think about this. What years? It's 2020, right? And we're working on public inputs for the 2023 cycle already. We didn't even get the first one hasn't even been adopted. I mean, the state of Pennsylvania definitely hasn't adopted it yet, and we're working on the 2023 cycle.
we're not even working on it anymore because the public input deadline just passed.
Oh yeah, you're right. It was the 10th. Yep. Yeah, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. But so you're in Pennsylvania. Where are you located in Pennsylvania?
I'm in the Philadelphia market, so I live about an hour north of the city, but I cover the city of Philadelphia and two southern and western counties
Okay.
for my company. As the regional manager, I kind of cover the whole territory. So if a guy's out on vacation, what have you, I pick up and go all over the place. So we run around a lot. I easily put 40, 50,000 miles a year on the car.
Wow.
So
Well, somebody told me in Philadelphia they just mail the stickers. What are you talking about?
oh man, now you're stabbing at my heart, my friend. No,
I
I'm afflicted with this thing called integrity. I apologize, sir.
I love it. No, that's just a joke. Just a joke. I love it. So that's good. So I am looking forward to it. You are on October 2nd from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock p.m. You're going to close down the house, close down the show, I believe, and I think they're going to do a board meeting on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. So, and the link for all of you watching, the link to register is down below on YouTube. If you're on the Facebook page, I'm not sure where it's at. It might be to the left or right. But Michael, this is going to be on the Eastern Section YouTube channel. So for those of you who have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please subscribe to the Eastern Section YouTube channel. Hit the bell. You'll be notified anytime we put these up. And I know, as I know, especially the Eastern Section, I'm sure these guys are moving forward going to be doing more on the YouTube site. I hope they will be. I'm going to be encouraging that and helping that along to make sure that we get as much material as we can out there. And I know, I just like this is your session, Michael, is only available to those who register. So
Good.
that link is going to be only available to those who register. So get registered to watch Michal Hofkin and Ask the Inspector.
I promise we'll have a good time. I like to think of myself as a dynamic speaker, so it won't be a monotone presentation. I've
Good.
got a couple of surprises thrown in here for you, and I'm actually looking forward to some good questions if we get them. So it's always best when there's an interaction.
Absolutely. And we'll have it. So, all right. Well, Mr. Joe Bellantoni, thanks for joining us. Steve Froming, thanks for joining us. Anybody else out there? Again, I didn't announce these things, so I'm just this was primarily to test your audio, your video, and we're going to do something different than anybody else is going to do. So I'm not going to tell anybody what we're going to do. You're going to have a different approach to presenting online. We're going to see how that works. I know it will be great. So, all right, what I'm going to do now, Michael, is I'm going to shut the feed down. And then you and I can chat before we get off the phone and make sure that we cross our T's and dot our I's.
That sounds great. Thanks so much for having me today, and I look forward to seeing everybody on October 2nd.
Excellent. In Tubeland. Thanks, everybody, for joining Michael and myself. And we're going to sign off. Stay safe and please stay healthy.